You're listening to The People's Show.
You come at the king, you best not miss.
Left circle, Besser, one-time slap shot, he scores! Brock Besser beats Jordan Binnington on the power play, and the Canucks are up 4-0.
With Sat, Dan, and Randeep.
The biggest thing to hit Canada because the Maple Leafs suck.
On the official home of the Canucks.
Goes all the way down the ice, here's Pedersen after it. He's got a chance at a breakaway. Pedersen in clean, is tripped by Murray, but he scores! Tiki Pete comes out of the box and puts the puck into the back of the net.
Sportsnet 650.
Welcome, citizens of the People's Show. We come to you live on Sportsnet 650 on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. It's Dan Riccio and Randeep Janda, the People's Show, with you until 3 o'clock today. And then we'll get you ready for the Canucks and Philadelphia Flyers. What's coming up on the program? Well, you, the people, 650 on the Dunbar Lumber text line. We cannot be the People's Show without you, the people. Also, Yannick Hansen will join us for his Friday hit, 1:30. Be tuning in for that. And after 2 o'clock, yes, it's a Canucks game day, but how about Team Canada? John Herdman, Canadian men's national team coach, will join us at 2 o'clock as the boys in red are that much closer to World Cup qualification, so we will get a chat in with John Herdman, and we have to find out when they are coming to BC for one of these games. That's what we need to know.
We have to get a response today from John Herdman. It has to happen. And I know it's a Canucks game day, but we're all Canadian. John Herdman fits in the show today.
John, you only have to travel so far from White Rock to BC Place. Think about that. No plane rides or anything like that. Simple.
Is he just not a fan of like Highway 91? Like what's the issue here?
Get it together, boys. Well, let's hope for that. But yes, Canada that much closer. We'll have some fun with that. John Herdman going to join us in about an hour's time. It is Dan Riccio and Randeep Janda. Satyar Shah will join us for the pregame, firing up at 3 o'clock as we get you ready for the Canucks and the Philadelphia Flyers. And what we saw today at practice, Randeep, Vasily Podkolzin playing with Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. At least that's the way the line rushes went. Alex Chiasson bumped down to the fourth line.
I'm a fan of this line because I have made no secret about what I think about Alex Chiasson 5-on-5. I'm not a huge fan of his game at this point in his career because of that lack of speed. And really, if you put that with a Pettersson, you put that with a Miller, is it a good spot for that top line? And I know you need something. You need something to occupy that spot when Brock Besser's not there. But just the overall speed of that line, I'm not a fan of it when Chiasson's on it. Now all of a sudden with Podkolzin, who, yes, did not look the sharpest in game one of the season, but we saw flashes of what he can do in a skill spot in the final two games of the preseason. I like this. This intrigues me. It all of a sudden gives you a player with, a motor who's going to try to win every single battle he's engaged in. But there is some skill there. There's some playmaking there. And you hope that he can definitely keep up with a Pettersson and Miller, which is something that Chiasson necessarily can't do because of that foot speed. I like this. Is there potentially going to be a loss of maybe the detailed game that Travis Green really likes from Chiasson? Winning those board battles and just doing those simple things? Sure. But I think it just makes it that much more dynamic with Podkolzin. At least there's the potential for that.
Trust in your talent. Also, this might be one of those things where Travis is giving Podkolzin a chance. And also looking at Brock Besser, who skated with the team today, is not going to be in the lineup in all likelihood tonight. But he's getting closer. So you're going to have a roster decision to make. We talked about this yesterday. I don't think it's necessarily the move I would make in sending Podkolzin down to Abbotsford, but this might be one of those moments where Travis is saying, show us something and make this decision easier for us in a sense of keeping you or not. And that, I think, is part of this conversation here with Podkolzin tonight. Is he going to play every shift with these guys? I don't know, because Nils Höglander, as we've seen Travis do, and he did it the other night against Edmonton, that guy's going to move all over the lineup. But, look, the way this is working right now, Travis is basically saying to Miller and Petey, I need you guys to be able to carry whoever's on your right wing until Besser is back. And the first half of that game, certainly Miller had a slow start. Pettersson was really all over the ice, had a number of chances. But part of Travis is probably thinking, you guys should be able to play with whomever's on your right wing. This is a kid who's got some skill. He's got a lot of two-way ability. Got to try and start unlocking that. Let's give him an opportunity here on this first line. And I don't see how you might not like that.
How do you give a offensive talent some confidence? And, what's the issue with Podkolzin? Not really an issue. He's a young kid. It's going to take him time to get used to this game. But even in the preseason, the final 2 games, you could tell there's some confidence in his game. He wasn't as cautious. He was a little bit more direct. His game was coming through playing in an elevated position. It took a few games to get there. But playing with the right players, you saw him flash a little bit. And you hope he can do the same here, because with Miller and Pettersson, you're going to get your looks, right? The question is, can Vasily Podkolzin finish those, and can he help set up some of that play? Can he distribute? And we've seen, from his time, even here, short time in Vancouver, but definitely in Russia, he does have that play-making ability. So, can it just gel all together? And most importantly, playing with skill guys, you're just that much more confident. You don't feel like you have to carry the offense like you would maybe on a bottom 6 line, right? Yeah. They're not going to get many offensive looks anyways, but you just feel like you're kind of stagnant, and you gotta push maybe that much further. Whereas here, all of a sudden, Pettersson is going to be doing work, the majority of the work. Hughes is a skill guy. Podkolzin probably doesn't feel that, where he can just maybe play that natural game he has, and that's the hope anyways. We'll see how the kid generally, is in a position to maybe create some offense tonight, but I look at the way he plays and I say, this is a good spot for him. He's going to be a little bit more confident playing with players like that. Is it pressure filled? For sure. You're on the first line. But is it more natural to who he is? I think so.
I don't think it's all about points either. Do you just want to see this line be able to carry play in the offensive end for a while, right? Win your matchups. And I think Podkolzin should help that, right? He is a player that, look, he's played the professional game for a couple of years now. I know, he's been up and down and had a certain bout with playing time at different points in the KHL, as a lot of young guys do that are NHL bound, but the kid's got talent. Try to extract some of that. And look, Chiasson had some moments in game 1, certainly on the power play where he had some opportunities to score, didn't finish, but from a 5-on-5 perspective, not helping a whole lot. And again, you look back to that first goal, he is the main culprit of coming off of his point man. So, when you're looking at a veteran and you're saying, I'm choosing you because I believe in you as the safer choice, you can't be that guy that's making that mistake. And so, I applaud Travis for giving Podkolzin a chance after Chiasson didn't really take it in night 1.
Yeah, it's a bold move after game 1 of the season as well. Generally, what you do with veterans is you say, all right, game 2 or 3, if you continue to play that way, you'll give them a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt. Here, Chiasson makes that mistake, didn't have that, finish, had 5 shots on goal, was prominent, but couldn't finish. So you're essentially saying, okay, 5-on-5, and I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, can he provide that finish 5-on-5? If you look at where he's generally at on the ice and where his shots have come from, they're not, as in tight as he would be on the power play. So you do really wonder, is he, playing 14 minutes? Is that good for the team? Those elevated minutes, is that good for the team? Where Podkolzin played less than 8 minutes last game, but just profiles a little bit better with a high-flying first line. The speed is a little bit better. With Chiasson, he's still going to get his looks on the power play. He's still a net front presence that they're going to need on the power play. But 5-on-5, and this has kind of been the big knock on Chiasson for the last 2 years, is he a 5-on-5 threat? And the answer is no. And when you do those simple things, when you do those things in the defensive zone that the coach relies on you to get right, and you do those incorrectly in game 1, yeah, you're not standing on firm footing to stay in the top six if you're Alex Chason.
Now, we talk about Podkolzin. We like the move, see what's going to happen. But what is the best option for the Canucks first line while Besser is out? Is it Podkolzin? Is it somebody else? Would you like to see Connor Garland there? Would you like to see Nils Höglander maybe to shake it up a little bit? We know that Travis will use Höglander as a bit of a Swiss Army knife. At least for now, he's been working with Dickinson and Highmore to start games. Will that continue? Would you rather see him on the top line? You can let us know on the 650 Dunbar Lumber text line. Let's go there now, Randeep, and see what the people are saying.
We got a lot of bold predictions. Marcus from the Ridge coming in with, I guess Podkolzin's going to tap into what Tyler Bertuzzi showed the world yesterday and score 4 tonight. So that's very optimistic. But beyond that, we got Kyle from the Island coming in with Pearson needs to be on the third line. Kind of along those same lines that we're talking about. Where does Podkolzin fit? You can also ask the question about Tanner Pearson. Talking about moving Höglander up, the one name that I would take, I would give Podkolzin a chance on the first line.
Yeah.
I want to move Höglander up. I want to move Pearson down. I want to see how Bo looks with that line that Sat's been talking about for the last couple of weeks.
Pearson and Garland.
Pearson and Garland, Bo in the middle. Give it a look. I don't care if it's undersized. Those guys play big. Undersized doesn't really mean anything to me. So that's the one move I would make. And I agree with Kyle from the Island.
Yeah.
To me, Tanner Pearson, I said it, going back to last year. Great third liner. Second line, you're reaching a bit.
It is tough because sometimes you wonder why Pearson has been afforded such a long leash in that position. And I get it. He isn't the flashiest player. He has, a ceiling, and you pretty much know where it is. Whereas Höglander looks like a diamond in the rough that the Canucks have uncovered and looks like he can do a lot. He's got the puck skills. He's got the drive. He's got the want, the will to go into the corners and do some of the dirty things you have to do to win puck battles in the offensive zone. He's got great vision, as we saw last year. All of those things put together, you see like a player that could fixture in the top 6 for many years here in Vancouver. But that's always it. The baseline is what Travis knows he's going to get with Pearson. He knows that him and Bo connected immediately from the second Pearson showed up in Vancouver, and they've continued that pairing for a long time. So I can see why Travis and the Canucks are somewhat committed to that pairing between Horvat and Pearson, because it has been solid, if not spectacular, for them for a pretty long while now.
And we got Chris on the text line saying there's something in Pearson's game that Bo really likes. That's my guess to why he's still around and to be that second guy. Yeah, it's that defensive responsibility as well. Tanner Pearson is not going to shock the world with his offense. Sometimes he will. He's a bit of a streaky player that way.
Again, should have scored in overtime.
He should have. And
Yep.
It was a great move. It was a great, chemistry that they have. So, give credit to Mike Smith on that one. But where Pearson does help out Bo is the defensive side of things. Whether you think Pearson has a high offensive ceiling or not, is that defensively he is responsible. He will win those battles. And that's a benefit not only for Bo Horvat, but if you are Travis Green, you want a little bit of responsibility on that line. You do want, an answer to say, okay, you might provide some offense, but in those matchup situations, especially on the road when you might be targeted or Bo's got to play against, a pretty, good center and a pretty good line on the other side, do you have a winger next to him that you can be responsible with and you can trust defensively? And that's where I think, Pearson and some will say, hey, we got Marcus and Gibson saying Pearson is bland as Dan Spaghetti Carbonara.
Whoa.
Or that's
Marcus. Let's not say things we can't take back, Marcus, okay?
Offensively, his game is.
Yeah.
But Dan is actually offended. I'm looking at his face right now. He's angry.
I'm angry.
His eyes are just bloodshot all of a sudden.
I'm so mad. You can't take shots at my carbonara like that. There's some things that are just off limits, okay? I'm willing to take a lot of heat from the Dunbar Lumber text line. Show up. Get into the studio. First thing I see on the Dunbar Lumber text line is, oh, Man, early People's Show, that means I'm not going to get relieved of reach today? Fine, Joe and Smithers. Whatever. But you come after my carbonara, that's trouble. That's trouble.
Okay, but hold on here. I'm actually on this with Marcus and Gibson's in the sense that
Yeah.
how much can we actually hear about this carbonara but not actually taste it?
You're vegetarian, so I don't know. I got to find some plant-based pancetta.
It could be somebody else. It could be Greg Ballard taste testing it. Like, talk a big game, but nobody's actually tasted this.
There's no you can't have carbonara cold, It's just like, it's not like a leftover food. You got to eat it immediately. So
you're inviting people to your house. Okay, that's very nice of you. What a guy.
Shoebox apartment. Marcus from the Ridge. Hoggs is the second most talented forward on this team. Thus, he should be supplanting Pearson on Horvat's line. Another one, Minor Matt in Abbotsford. Pearson at that price should be on a different team. Look, I get the whole Pearson thing. Again, we're in an age where in the NHL, because of the salary cap, every dollar counts, every penny counts, and a lot of times the thought is pay your best players, leave out the guys in the murky middle. And this Canucks management team has had a hard time adjusting to that, to be fair. And they've paid a lot of decent but unspectacular players a lot of money in their tenure. And it's one of the biggest reasons there's so much discourse over Jim Benning's tenure here in Vancouver. But Pearson has been a really solid player for this Canucks team. And extending him, wasn't my favorite thing at the time. Continues to be something that I will doubt. But there's more circumstances there than just the on-ice production, given everything that happened last year, all of the other departures, all of that. We've been through this. But let's not make up some kind of story like Pearson is an absolute nil in the value bin, because he's given the Canucks a lot more in his time here than Louis Eriksson ever did, or any of those guys. So that's my beef with Pearson. It's not like he's a player that's, not good enough for the NHL or something to that effect. He's been really solid for the Canucks. But that's a testament to this team and some of the players that they have coming up, that they are close to supplanting him from that spot.
The question is not whether he should be on this team. It's where in the lineup should he be is the question, right? Tanner Pearson, I know from behind the scenes as well, they value him as a leader on that team. You might not see it necessarily, but he does bring a confidence. He does bring something to that team that, is, that leadership that, Bo Horvat and others on that team do appreciate. Now, where he plays is a valid question. We got this text from Spenny on Bowen saying, safe as death. Pearson and Chason type players, while youngsters languish on the bench is Willie Desjardins-esque. Okay, this is me dissing Green's early season coaching decisions, Spenny says. So not a fan of that at all. Of the early game one, I should mention, usage of a Tanner Pearson. But over time, as Vasily Podkolzin, if he stays with the team, as he gets more comfortable in that top nine, there are some decisions to make. The Höglander one in the short term, I agree with you. He's a top six player. Like, he is. He is a spark plug, but he can also create offense. And when in your first game, 2 defensemen score goals, right? Yeah. Which is a great positive sign for the Canucks, because last year they only scored 21 from the blue line. They scored 2 in the first game. That's a good start. But you also want those forward lines to kind of move in early in the season. Put him with skilled players so you can really see what this offense can do. And if this was JT Miller playing on the third line, Reach, then I'd say, Höglander with him makes sense. Give it a go, because then you're looking at a really offensive line. But the way that third line is constructed right now, that's not necessarily a scoring line. So I want to see Höglander in a position where he can actually help to create points. He might not be picking up points, but is he playing with skilled guys that can really maximize that opportunity?
A lot of things are going to change with this Canucks lineup too. We talk about Besser coming back. Mott shouldn't be too far away either. So, there's going to be some question marks around guys like Chason, Patan, who's been an extra for the first couple of games, Highmore, what happens there. Dowling, does he stick in this lineup? So with these two players coming back, Besser and Mott, there's going to be some decisions to make. And Travis is probably seeing what he's got in those spots as well. It is the People's Show. Dan Riccio and Randy Janda. A couple of more texts here. Love Höglander, but he lacks finish. Let him energize a third line with Dickinson and Pearson. More of the citizens of the People's Show wanting to bump down Tanner Pearson from that second line. Now, we did talk about the first line, which right now is, or however you want to label the lines, Miller, Pettersson, Podkolzin. Wrong answers only here on the People's Show. What should the Miller, Pettersson, Podkolzin line be named? 650 on the Dunbar Lumber text line.
The 2 peas in a pod line. Does not make sense?
2 peas and a pod?
No, 2 peas in a pod. Like, I don't know. I don't see the JT Miller angle. I'm sorry. I can't see it. I'm naming the duo of Pettersson and Podkolzin. I don't know how JT Miller fits. I tried.
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners can do a better job than I can.
Your favorite MPP?
Okay. That could. I feel like that's a good start.
Could that be a good start? Let us know. 650 on the Dunbar Lumber text line. What should the Miller, Pettersson, Podkolzin line be named? Wrong answers only. So we talked a lot about Tyler Myers yesterday and how he maybe won over the fan base, at least for a moment, with the hit on Duncan Keith. He spoke to media today and had the chance of all chances to really win over the Canucks fan base and end the discord over Tyler Myers, his signing, and everything that surrounds it. He really had that chance. And Randeep took a swing, and he missed. Here is Tyler Myers on hitting Duncan Keith the other night in Edmonton.
I don't have a lot of reaction. Like you said, it's, it could have been anybody that I was making the hit on. It just happened to be a guy that has a lot of history with the city and teams in the past. So it just happened to be that one guy, and I haven't paid too much attention to the chatter.
Tyler Myers. Yeah, you had your chance and you blew it. You blew it!
It could have been anybody, but it wasn't Tyler. It wasn't. It was Duncan friggin' Keith. And you steamrolled him. I wish he would have just gone full-on Randy Macho Man Savage promo saying, yeah, I knew it was him. In that moment, I thought of Daniel Sedin. And I said, I'm going to get this guy. We need some more.
Yes.
He did.
He
just
did.
leaning into it, like going Psycho Sid. Remember his promos back in the day when he just kind of, that's what I would have loved to see from Tyler Myers.
It would have been great if he was just like, I think we all knew what that was about. Just going to leave it at that. It would have been great. It would have total fan service, but that's what Canucks fans wanted to hear. And you would have won over this fan base forever. But you didn't take your opportunity. And now the next time you send a pizza through the middle of the ice, Canucks Twitter is going to be all over you, Tyler.
He didn't even do the Duncan Keith thing on purpose. How can we give him any sort of accolades? Okay, if he didn't claim the Daniel Sedin thing, I would have loved to hear it. No, I didn't do it for Daniel Sedin.
Yeah,
I did it for the city of Kelowna. Duncan lives in Penticton. This was for Kelowna.
Yes. This was about Okanagan territory
turf
beef.
war. It was a turf war. What's the better wine territory, Kelowna or Naramata? That's what they're beefing over.
Chef Swagger from Hell's Kitchen. After that comment, I'm returning the Myers jersey I just bought. You blew it!
Myers fumbled the bag there, another text says.
Lots coming in on the Dunbar Lumber text line. Let's get a couple wrong answers only in here before Yannick Hansen joins us. What should Miller, Pettersson, Podkolzin line be named? What are the citizens of the People's Show saying, Randy?
Okay, here's unsigned text saying the line should be called 2 pints of Miller. I'll allow it. That's much more creative than ours.
Ron, the gas guy. The PMP line.
So their goal song would be a 50 Cent song?
Yes.
From Get Rich or Die Trying, or was it the album after that?
Yeah. Ontario Canuck fan. The MVP line, Miller, Vasily, Pettersson. It's getting creative.
Oh, speaking of getting creative here, put your name on this because some of these are really good. Wrong answers should be called the space race line. USA, Russia, and of course, aliens. That's West End Mike coming in with that one. I like that one.
The space race line.
That's creative. See, we weren't thinking that deep.
No.
We come up with the questions. The listeners, the people come with the answers.
I may be coming back with that. Burke and Kamloops, a lot of people coming in with the PMP line. We need Mike in the Heights as well. Marcus and Gibson's the non-Canadian line.
A lot of PMP lines coming up. Here's one.
Yep.
Spenny coming in with Raging Dad and the Kids line. The temper tantrum? The dad with the temper tantrum line.
Yes. Yeah. An ode to to JT Miller's antics from last season. Kind of reminds me of the dad in American Pie 2. Honey, dinner. I'm not hungry!
Just imagine JT Miller on a road trip. Hey, JT, we're going to grab some dinner at the restaurant. You want to come? No!
I'm not hungry!
I'm ordering room service.
All right, man. Chill. Jeez. Everything cool? Okay, we'll see you later.
Yeah, no, he's having a great time. But that's just JT's mode.
See you at the skate tomorrow. It is the People's Show. Yannick Hansen going to join us next. It is Sportsnet 650.
You're listening to The People's Show with Sat, Dan, and Randeep on the official home of the Canucks, Sportsnet 650.
Until next Sunday. Pleased to be joined now. Joins us every Friday on The People's Show. It is Yannick Hansen. How you doing, Yannick?
Trying to stay dry. How are you?
Aren't we all right now? It's one of those weekends here in Vancouver. I'm sure you saw it or maybe heard about it, but Canucks fans were absolutely loving Tyler Myers getting a big hit on Duncan Keith. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, again, it's been a long time coming. What was great about it was so clean, and it wasn't like he came flying in. It's textbook hit. From a physical guy, and Keith took the bunt of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a big one. Yeah, Duncan Keith is probably feeling that one for a couple of days. Now, I've always had this question because now it's felt like for a long time, really, like even when a big hit and a clean hit is laid, you still have to answer the bell because somebody's coming to fight you. How do you feel about that? Even when it's a clean hit, you've got to potentially be ready to answer somebody coming after you.
Yeah, it's again, you're protecting your teammate. It's clean, but you never want to see that happen to your friend, your teammate, or anybody. So you're putting guys on notice that, hey, if you guys want to do that, then there's a price, and yeah, you might win the fight too, but you also might get up getting hurt. So that's kind of the thing. You want to throw that hit. By all means, but you might have to answer the bell.
Yannick, we had Shane O'Brien on the program yesterday and asked him about the animosity between the two teams back in the Chicago and yourself and the Vancouver Canucks. But, take us back to that time when Daniel Sedin gets that, that cheap shot from Duncan Keith. Like, was there a real hatred between the teams at that point in time after that hit?
Yeah, but I would say it started in 2009, pretty much the first playoff we ran into them. And then it just kind of escalated throughout there, like the Bufflin, Bolin, Burris, those kind of guys. I would say it had almost kind of died down a little bit at that point. Like, I mean, we beat them the year before, went to the final, so it was kind of like, okay, it's almost even now. And then that obviously happened, and it took it to a whole nother level. But as far as teams, we never got back to that level again because we weren't a Stanley Cup contender anymore all of a sudden. 2 years removed from that. So I want to say the years before that were probably more so. Also, the lineups we had back then, like there was a lot more tough guys, a lot more fighting. Into 11 and 12, teams got a lot more skilled. So all that stuff in between the whistle and that stuff kind of went away a little bit. But obviously that's probably the one that sticks out through, my 4 or 5 years playing against Chicago those years from in terms of something really, really dirty.
How did it feel in the moment? Because you lose Danny to injury. Keith goes down for 5 games. Doesn't end up missing any playoff games with that suspension, but you're missing Daniel Sedin for the first 3 games of that LA series, which we obviously know ended up going in LA's way. How did it feel with the team in the moment?
Yeah, but we thought, okay, now Daniel will get a little bit of a rest here leading into the playoffs, so we weren't too worried about him. Like he stepped back on the ice. If I say numerous times, I don't think I'm exaggerating here. So we thought he was okay. He'll play the last couple of games of the regular season, but he kept coming on the ice and then set back, going back off, taking a couple of days off, and it just kept prolonging. And all of a sudden, playoff comes around, and he's nowhere close. And I think if we get off to a better start in that series, win a game or two, I don't think he plays game 4 or game 5 either. Like I think he was obviously wanting to get back, help the team. We're down 3-0. You have no other choice. So it was obviously frustrating because we had a really, really good team that year as well. Won the President Trophy, and we've probably looked past LA already. They went in, I think, on the last day of the season. So we probably should have given a little more attention, and I thought it was just going to go glove in hand or whatever you say. And that was our mistake, because all of a sudden you're down 2-0 and 3-0, and teams can't come back from that. It happens once in a new moon, and that's about it. So yeah, it was frustrating to kind of see the end of that era where we were building up to becoming a really, really good team. And again, you beat LA that year. You saw their way to the finals. It was a little bit easier than the year we had before with the teams we had to go through. So you're only imagining what could have been. But yeah, again, it comes back to that game probably hurt us more than anything else did that year.
You're listening to The People Show. We're joined by Jannik Hansen. Jannik, looking to present day, as of this morning, Vasily Podkolzin is on the top line with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. What would your mindset be playing with both Pettersson and Miller?
You'd be a little bit nervous. You're like, give them the puck, get them the puck, get out of their way. I prefer to have a little more experienced guy in that role that aren't, here, get the puck, take the puck, you guys do your stuff. Again, he might take this on a little differently because he needs to be able to play his own game. But I remember when I got thrown on with Naslund and Morrison, my second game against Dallas in the playoffs, I was like, just give them the puck, let them do it. And I think it kind of hindered my game a little bit, because instead of playing with the puck and stuff like that, I let them do it. And all of a sudden you're maybe down half a guy on the line. So again, it's something new, but he'll have to play his game. I think we've seen enough. I've seen enough of Vasily that he can play at this level. He can make plays. He needs to be able to do that. On a third or fourth line, you're a lot more comfortable doing that, because the guys you're sharing the puck with aren't Miller and Pettersson. They're not expecting the perfect plays, getting set up when they're open, stuff like this. So you can get away with maybe missing an opportunity here and there because you're trying something. But again, I think it was needed. I don't think Jason worked out really well 5-on-5. Again, they had a tough matchup. They were playing against McDavid and Draisaitl, and those two will look just about anybody foolish on any given night. But again, 5-on-5, they didn't look as good as they could. It helped a little bit when Greener tried to rotate the guys, and seeing some other guys in there, they started tilting the ice a little bit. So small, subtle changes in the lineup can do big things. So again, it's nice to see him getting an opportunity, and he'll probably get some more ice time, which is good for the type of player he is. Playing 10 minutes for a guy who's skilled and needs to make play is not enough. Your hands need to be warm, if you will.
Jannik Hansen, our guest here on the People's Show. Nils Höglander really popped in game one for me. He looks stronger. He looks even maybe a little bit quicker. How does Nils Höglander look to you?
Yeah, he was everything he needed to be. A little ball of fire out there. It didn't matter what line or who he played with. He created stuff. When he was on the third line, he makes that line so much better. Tilt the ice, create opportunities. What we saw against Edmonton is something I haven't seen in a long time from Vancouver. Is they were coming out in waves. Yeah, they got hemmed in here and there, but it wasn't just top six that was creating chances. I saw Dickinson having chances. Höglander have chances. You saw the fourth line getting into some chances as well. And that speaks a little bit to the depth that Jim has been able to create here over the summer, that now they can roll their lines. Top two lines get on the ice in an offensive zone all of a sudden. And again, Höglander's game, just to talk about him for a second, is, again, he got rewarded for that. He was playing extremely well on the third line. We were talking about the top 6 2 seconds ago, and it wasn't quite clicking for them. All of a sudden, he's up there, and he obviously creates a burst of speed. He's got a lot more tenacity and intensity than Chiasson had, and we're able to get in, turning over pucks, holding on to pucks in a different way as well. So, again, he's a very, very good guy to have on your team because you can throw him into just about any lineup, and everybody likes to play with that player that gives you the puck back. You always seem to have the puck when you play with those guys because they're on and on the forecheck, they're getting them on the back check, they're turning pucks over. So again, I'm sure he's a guy Greena loves to have and wish he had a couple more of, to be honest.
Absolutely. And, you look at him at the third line, you start to wonder, okay, maybe in an elevated position, can he, playing with a Bo Horvat, can he put up some points as well? But that brings us to Tanner Pearson. And this market is either, okay with Tanner Pearson, or they're saying, why is he playing on the second line? When you look at his partnership with Bo Horvat, does that limit the offensive ceiling that Bo has, or is there something about his game that lends well to Bo?
I think they played together for a while now, and he's got a pretty good shot. He can find corners. He played with Carter and Trifoli in LA too, and that line worked wonders as well. So I do want Tanner Pearson in my top 6. I want Besser in there too, and Garland obviously as well. So now that leaves Höglander kind of the odd man out, if you will. You can throw him in a pinch, but I think on a third line, if he finds a line that will click, that third line will be able to dominate. That's why every time you guys ask me where I want this guy, I want him on my third line because he will make that third line better than almost any other third line we'll be seeing this year. So if they can find a way to get that line clicking, whatever centerman that is, and the other winger, I don't know. There's lots of options this year. And then in a pinch, somebody is not going well today and he's flying off the rails. They're going to throw him up for a period or two and go from there. But like I said, I prefer Tanner Pearson in the top 6 just for the type of player he is. I don't think he'll work as well in the bottom 6 as a Höglander will. So those are kind of the things where you kind of want to put guys in position into roles where they can succeed.
A lot of too many men penalties for the Canucks over the last couple of years. I think last year they ranked among the league leaders in the top 5 for bench minors. Who's to blame for too many men penalties? Is it the coach?
Oh, it's never the coach. It's always the guys, and it's normally 2 guys. But if it's easy to say, oh, it's the guy that comes off the bench. It's his fault. He shouldn't jump. But I've seen guys coming, waving. Okay, I'm coming off. That means I can jump, and now all of a sudden the puck comes and you play it. Then it's the guy coming off's fault. So it is about awareness, smarts. Don't touch that puck if you signal you're coming off. You don't really know sometimes who's coming on for you either, so it's not even like you can see if the guy jumped. So it's about communication. It's about awareness. It's about being ready. have that hand on the board when you're sitting on the bench, know who you're taking, know what's going on the ice. If you dump the puck to Mike Smith and he's got it and your guys are changing, he might throw it up there just to get the penalty. It's one of those things where you gotta pay attention, and then take it from there. So you can't really say it's the coach, it's the forward, or it's the D. It's the two guys who have the opportunity to swap each other's off that's got to sort this one out. I remember back under Willie, we had quite a few of these things, and we started like we say, have a little kangaroo court every time, and then play it back the next day, and then figure out who was at fault for this stuff. And like I said, sometimes it was the guy coming off, sometimes it was the guy going on.
You're listening to The People Show. We're joined by Jannik Hansen here on Sportsnet 650. And Jannik, pretty big contracts being signed in the NHL these days. But let's focus on the Brady Tkachuk one. Great player, doesn't put up major points, but he signs a 7-year deal worth $8+ million per season. What do you think of the deal, considering the points are not necessarily there for Brady Tkachuk, but we know he can influence a game? Yeah, and again, they're probably not paying Brady Tkachuk to be a leading scorer in the regular season. They're playing him in the hopes that come playoff times, he's the type of player you want on your team. He's the type of player who can tilt the series with numerous different ways, whether it's physicality, scoring, the timely goals and stuff like that. And he will put up more points as it goes along. I think we've seen enough of his brother in Calgary to know what he can do when he's on his game, whether it's antagonizing, drawing penalties, scoring key goals, and I think he's probably more of the same mold. So again, it's one of those players that you're probably not really going to see the reward from until you make the playoffs.
Jannik, we appreciate the time as always, man. We'll be talking next week.
Sounds good. Enjoy the game.
There is Jannik Hansen joining us here on the People's Show. Dan Riccio and Randeep Janda. We got to ask Jannik this because during the interview, I didn't have a chance to actually read these text messages. Okay. But the Scandinavian pronunciation of Höglander. I think he said Höglander. Yes. We're going to have to get that from him next time because I feel like he's doing it right. Yeah. He's from the region. He's from Denmark. After 3 o'clock, you should ask that. True. Höglander. But I